In Sardinia, men don't stay strong after 60 because they exercise more. They live inside a daily system that quietly protects strength, clarity, and independence. And the part most people miss is that this system can be adapted anywhere. This video is not about workouts, it's not about supplements, and it's definitely not about genetics. It's about a structure of daily life that makes weakness unlikely and strength almost inevitable. I'm going to show you what that system looks like, why it works so well for men after 60, and how to bring its principles into a modern life without pretending you live in Sardinia. I call this system the Sardinian strength loop. Not a routine, not a program, a loop, because each part of daily life reinforces the next quietly and continuously. Modern aging is usually treated like a motivation problem, as if men lose strength because they don't push hard enough, don't train consistently enough, or don't care enough. But in Sardinia, strength isn't something you chase, it's something daily life quietly maintains. That's the difference between effort and system. When you rely on effort, you need willpower every day. When you rely on a system, the structure does the work for you. The environment creates the outcome. Modern life removed that structure. We isolated strength into 1 hour at the gym and let the other 23 hours become mechanically silent. Sardinia shows us what happens when you reverse that. In Sardinia, men don't work out. They don't schedule movement. They don't separate exercise from life. Movement is embedded into the day itself. Walking to see someone, walking because that's simply how you get there, carrying things by hand, standing, bending, climbing. Dozens of small physical demands spread naturally across hours. There's no spike of effort, no collapse afterward, no need for recovery days, just constant low-grade mechanical demand. This matters more than most people realize. Muscle loss after 60 isn't caused by aging alone. It's caused by long periods of mechanical silence. When muscles go unused for hours at a time, the nervous system slowly stops prioritizing them. Strength fades quietly, not because you're weak, but because the signal disappears. In Sardinia, that signal never fully turns off. A man walks to check on his animals. He carries wood or tools. He climbs a hill to reach a neighbor. He bends to tend a garden. None of these actions are intense. None of them feel like exercise, but together they create a steady rhythm of demand. The body never receives the message that strength is optional. That's why strength there looks calm, unforced, sustainable. It's not built in a single session. It's maintained across hundreds of small moments. Modern life concentrates movement into one short window, the gym, and removes it everywhere else. You sit, then you train, then you sit again. From a biological perspective, that's not balance, it's oscillation. The body experiences long stretches of complete inactivity, followed by brief periods of intense demand. That creates a problem, because the nervous system doesn't respond only to how hard you train, it responds to how often movement appears. For maintaining strength after 60, frequency matters more than intensity. In Sardinia, this happens naturally. In a modern life, it requires one intentional shift. Stop asking, when will I exercise? Start asking, where can movement live inside my day? Movement there isn't a task, it's a background condition. Standing instead of sitting when you can. Walking short distances instead of driving. Carrying instead of outsourcing every physical task. Not chasing exhaustion. Breaking long stillness. These aren't workouts, they're mechanical inputs. And over time, they do something powerful. They keep the nervous system convinced that strength is still required. This isn't about intensity, it's about frequency. The Sardinian strength loop starts here, not with effort, but with presence. But movement alone isn't enough. In Sardinia, there's another layer protecting strength, and most modern men don't even realize it's missing. It's not motivation, it's not discipline, it's role. In Sardinia, men don't retire from life, they age, but they don't disappear. They are still expected to show up, to help, to decide, to fix, to walk, to be seen. There's quiet social pressure, not to perform, but to participate. Strength survives because it's still required. A man in his 70s still tends his land, he still walks to the market, he still helps his family solve problems, he still carries responsibility, not because he's trying to prove something, but because the structure of his life still depends on him. This sends a biological signal most modern men never send. When a man loses his role, the body receives a signal, not consciously, biologically. The nervous system begins reallocating resources away from strength, coordination, and alertness. Unused systems are expensive to maintain. The body doesn't preserve muscle it no longer needs. It doesn't maintain coordination that serves no purpose. It doesn't invest in systems without demand. In Sardinia, usefulness delays that signal, not by force but by expectation. Modern life removes responsibility long before it removes capability. Men stop being needed long before they stop being able. You retire. You step back. You delegate. You simplify. And slowly, the body begins to match your new level of demand. This isn't a motivation problem. It's a structure problem. The system isn't asking anything of you anymore. In Sardinia, this happens naturally. In a modern life, it requires one intentional shift. Don't ask how to stay strong. Ask where you're still needed. Strength stays where responsibility lives. Not more effort. More presence with consequence. Find places where your participation still matters, where someone depends on you showing up, where your judgment, your hands, your experience are still required. The activity itself matters less than the expectation. The body responds to this signal: I am still useful. I am still needed. I still have a role to play. The Sardinian strength loop doesn't reward comfort, it rewards usefulness. Even with movement and purpose, strength doesn't survive if the nervous system never slows down. This is where modern life causes the most damage, without anyone noticing. Life in Sardinia moves at a different pace, not because people are lazy, but because urgency is rare. Conversations aren't rushed, meals aren't compressed, days aren't packed to the edge. There's natural alternation, effort, then recovery, engagement, then rest. The nervous system receives regular signals of safety. This matters more than most people understand. Strength is not built in a stressed nervous system. When the body stays in constant alert, it prioritizes survival, not maintenance. Repair slows, coordination declines, reaction time dulls. Over time, strength doesn't disappear dramatically, it erodes quietly, because a body that never feels safe never fully commits to rebuilding. In Sardinia, the nervous system spends more time regulated, and regulated systems age slower. Men sit with friends without checking their phones. They eat meals that last an hour. They walk without hurrying. They rest without guilt. This isn't laziness, it's biological intelligence. The nervous system needs periods of low demand to shift into repair mode. Without that shift, effort becomes destructive instead of constructive. Modern life treats speed as neutral. Biologically, it isn't. Speed is a signal. Constant notifications, constant noise, constant decision-making. Every ping is a micro-stress. Every rushed transition keeps the system on alert. The body never receives the message that it's safe to rebuild. In Sardinia, this happens naturally. In a modern life, it requires one intentional shift. Stop trying to relax harder. Reduce unnecessary urgency. Slow one transition per day. One meal, one walk, one conversation. Not to be calmer, but to let the nervous system change modes. These are biological signals. They tell the body, we are safe, we can rebuild, we can invest in long-term systems. The Sardinian strength loop depends on rhythm. Without rhythm, effort breaks the body. With rhythm, effort sustains it. Men don't lose strength because they age. They lose it when daily life stops asking something of them. When movement becomes rare, when responsibility disappears, and when the nervous system stays permanently rushed, the body slowly adapts to a lower standard. Sardinia works because that never fully happens. Movement stays present, usefulness stays visible, and life moves at a pace the body can actually repair inside. That's why strength there doesn't feel forced. It feels normal. And this pattern isn't unique to Sardinia. You see the same underlying principles expressed through food, culture, and daily structure in other blue zones around the world. Different places, different traditions, the same logic underneath. If you want to see how these principles take shape in a completely different culture, I'll link that next video right here. It shows how this same system works through food, rhythm, and daily habits in one of the most studied blue zones in the world. I'll see you there.